Welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast.
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips Podcast.
The AC is set to 64.4. It's set to auto.
Now I paid for this extra cable sensor. In the cable is an additional temperature gauge and humidity gauge. Well, hello, and welcome back to the Echo Tips Podcast this week. For our returning listeners, it's good to have you back, and for our new listeners, we'd like to welcome you. We'll tell you a little bit about what the show is all about here in just a second. First, I want to highlight our theme this week for our Amazon Echoes and A-Lady devices. We're going to be learning about using home automation and turning your home into a smart home. Or for some of us with disabilities, making something that was really impractical practical. And here on my desk, I have a little device we're going to talk about how we can use today that allows me to use what was otherwise a remote control feature of my home, that is the heating and ventilation air conditioning system that had to be controlled by remote controls. Now I can control with my voice via my A-Lady device. Isn't that cool? I think you're going to really enjoy this. So it's pretty cool. But the practicality of our discussion today in this particular device we're going to talk about would really allow you to control probably almost any kind of remote control device. So, or even maybe an RF, a radio frequency device. You think maybe, I don't know, what was RF used to control? I think maybe he used to garage doors maybe and stuff like that. So that might be an example. So anywho, before we delve into that though, like I said, I want to tell our new listeners what they're listening to. Welcome, new listeners. I'm the host of the podcast. My name is David Ward. You'll find that our episodes are little nuggetized episodes where we try to teach you new things about the Amazon Echo. We revisit some oldies but goodies and dust those off. We have new omnibus episodes we've been trying out for a little while, and I'll have a call to action on that again as well today. But we try to talk about, home automation like we're going to be talking about today. We talk about applications for families, parents, caregivers, seniors, children. We talk about games, skills, reference tools. We talk about the new AI beta program, just all sorts of things, music and the like. But before we delve into our content in any sort of depth, I will mention our call to action, which is recently I have done some omnibus episodes, and an omnibus episode is basically where you take all the stuff you know, all the knowledge on a particular topic, and you wedge it together like the world's Dagwood sandwich that it is, and present it all at once. Now that creates a much larger episode. Our episodes are usually 5 to 15 minutes long, maybe 20 minutes long. When we do this, I've had episodes that were 40 minutes, like 45 minutes long. For example, I did an omnibus episode on all things AI that we've learned and experienced pretty much. And I trimmed that down to the brass tacks. I mean, there was some stuff I left out, but most of the stuff about the AI I put all into that one episode. And we also did an omnibus episode all about alarms. So all about jingles, music, waiting up to talk radio, having it trigger a routine, having it trigger lights, having it sound like a pill bottle shaking and jingling with your pills in it to take every morning. Just a wide variety of ways that alarms could be used. So that was an omnibus episode as well. So the call to action is if you enjoyed those type of episodes, let me know via email or Facebook or Twitter, now known as X, that is something of interest to you, that you would like me to sprinkle in some omnibus episodes or longer format episodes like that here in the future. And you can email me that at info@goodwillvalleys.com. So before we delve into home automation and how I can now control my thermostat and air conditioning unit over here on the wall with my voice, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we will be right back.
This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. And also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. And we thank you for listening. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision.
Well, hello again, and welcome back to the show. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about a neat little gizmo that I've got. Ever since I moved into this new apartment, I've been setting up my new studio here at home where I record most of these podcasts here at my home studio. I've been wondering about, okay, how can I automate some things around the house? Now, right here, I got this gizmo on my desk. This is what we're going to be talking about today. But in past episodes, I've covered things about the a lady interacting with my microwave, my range microwave that has a fan on the bottom over the stovetop range, but the ability to voice command that, and that's a truly great thing that I love. Now, for those that may not know, I'm visually impaired, so I can't really see the buttons on a typical microwave, and most modern microwaves have this smooth glass-like surface, so you can't even really feel the buttons anymore. Often the kludge that we would use is to stick little bumpy dots on them or some sort of tape or something on there so that we can know what it is. But the ability to take my A-Lady and command my microwave has been super, super cool. Other things like my washer, dryer conclude their cycle. It goes off on all my echoes that, or at least one of the echoes. I can't remember if I designated an echo. It goes off on one that's centrally located, so I know that it's done even if I'm not nearby. But today we're going to be talking about something I really wanted to automate for a long time. And that is my HVAC heating and cooling system that I have in my apartment. So we're going to be talking about a little gizmo here that I got called, we call this generically. We would call it an infrared IR blaster of sorts. That's kind of the generic probably term. So before I tell you all about this and the brand that it is, I'm going to do a brief demo. So if you have an echo and hearing distance of my voice, you may want to shut its ears off. Although, unless you have one of these at home, I'm probably not going to trigger anything at your home other than it just yapping away in the background. But I will give you a chance to do that. You can always pause the podcast, by the way, and come right back. Okay, so hopefully everybody's had a chance to do that. So here in our studio, I got our Echo Show over here. Doesn't matter, any Echo could do this. So I've already set this up. So this is the end result we are looking for. And so all I have to say is, Alexa, turn air conditioner on. Da-ding! And you might hear that in the background. That's the unit powering up and turning the fan on. You'll probably hear it blowing here in a little bit. So there you go. So my air conditioner, yep, there it goes. It's flowing. You can probably hear now here in the studio. And it's kind of loud. But that way you know it's working. Okay, so the other thing I can do is all the typical things almost that I could do with a remote. I don't know if I've tried everything under the sun, but a lot of principal things, because this just isn't an air conditioner, as I said. That's the name that I used. It's also heating, fan. You could suck moisture out. I forget what they call that feature. But I could say, and I can, most importantly, change the temperature. So let's give it a try. Alexa, set air conditioner to 65 degrees.
The AC is set to 64.4.
Okay, there you go. Now, the reason it's echoing that back, and I haven't had a chance to fix this yet, is currently it is set to Celsius, so whenever it's doing a conversion, I think it's converting to a whole Celsius number, which comes out as some sort of fraction in Fahrenheit. I know the unit can do Fahrenheit because it did before. I just somehow accidentally switched it over to Celsius when I did all of this. So I can lower it, I can raise it, I can do all of that. I can do this. Alexa, switch air conditioner to auto.
It's set to auto.
Now it's set to auto. Alexa, set air conditioner to heat.
It's set to heat.
Probably don't want to do that. It's like 81 degrees outside. Alexa, set air conditioner to fan.
Air conditioner HVAC doesn't support that.
Oh, I'm probably using the wrong term, but there's like a fan mode. Alexa, set air conditioner to cool.
It's set to cool.
Okay, there we go. So it gives you the extra nomenclature that it echoes back to you. Now, there's probably a much larger list of tools, and we'll talk about how you could probably find those as well. For the sake of our noise factor, I'm going to shut it off again. Alexa, shut air conditioner off. Oh, yeah, I was really starting to blow there. Okay. Okay, I shut it off. Okay, so let's get into the weeds a little bit about what I got that allowed me to do that. So in my home, this was a home that was remodeled in an apartment where it was put in what's called a mini split system. So instead of actually having ducts and stuff run up either in the ceiling or in the floors, it comes in through the side walls through a very tiny pipe that's on the exterior of the building that's it's smaller than a gutter, really. And then there's these individual units. This is a 3-set unit, so there's one in my kitchen, one in here in my studio, and one in my bedroom. And each one of them has a remote control, and they actually, the remotes do exactly the same thing. You can take one to the other room if you want, but each one can be independently set within a certain range, so like I could set the living room and kitchen to be, I don't know, 75 degrees. While I'm here in the office working today, maybe I want a cool 67 or 65 or something like that. So you can make those adjustments, and you can have some units on, some units off. You get the idea. So what did I end up getting? I got what was called, as I told you in generic terms, an IR or infrared blaster. So infrared is what remote controls typically would do, where they project an invisible light to us to hit the TV and turn it on or off, right? So this is called an IR blaster, but it also doubles as a universal remote and a smart device. And I got this. This was recommended to me by another podcaster who was very kind to respond to one of my requests. I was asking her what she was using, and it was from Rosemary Orchard of the Automators, and she's on other podcasts as well. I think iPad Today and stuff like that. But anyway, she commented on this, and this is called a Broadlink RM4. But anyway, I'll mention some of the subtle differences. But I got this little gizmo for like all of $25. I got an extra sensor on it, which cost an extra $5. So I think it technically was like $29. But this little gizmo, and it's kind of the size of, well, how could I describe it to you? It's not as wide as one of the old hockey puck Echoes. It's smaller than that. It's round, kind of hockey puckish shape. It's much thicker than that, though. I'd say it's about an inch tall and maybe an inch wide cylinder shape. Now, it came with a little attachment that would allow you to attach it to drywall on the back with 2 drywall screws and then clip it on the wall if you wanted to. And I think the regular RM4 may come with some sort of sticky tape or something that you can attach to the wall as well. And I got this on Amazon, and it has a little USB powered port on the side. It uses like a standard, I think it's like a micro USB connector. Came with a cable. Now, I paid for this extra cable sensor. In the cable is an additional temperature gauge and humidity gauge. So the unit has the ability to independently monitor humidity and temperature wherever it's at, and you can set up programmed routines and stuff through the Broadlink app to do that. It has a little button on it too, I think, that does a reset command, and well, that's about all there is to it. It's not much to it, really. So what I did is I downloaded the Broadlink app on my smartphone, and I followed the directions to set it up and create an account. And this has the capacity, I think they have presets for over 50,000 different infrared control devices. So you think TVs and different types of thermostats and fans and just all sorts of different things that might use infrared remotes, heaters, and the like. Now, I specifically got it in mind with my HVAC units. Now, there was nothing on the list. There was no easy way to pull up a list to find out what it had. So it was more or less a shot in the dark. But I did discover that it is programmable. So not only does it have a broadcast infrared sensor on here to project its own, commands over to the unit, it also has a receiver on it so that worst case scenario, you can take the remote that you presently have and you can manually go through a process where, on the phone, on the app, you say, okay, we're going to do the power button, and then you press the power button on the physical remote you have. It records the signal, and then it uses that to mirror it back later. So you could manually, teach it basically using another remote control, all your core commands, or at least the ones you want to use. I mean, for some things you might not want to do a whole lot. You just want to turn it on and off maybe. Maybe just change one other setting, if even that. With an HVAC unit like I got here, though, admittedly, I want to be able to turn the temperature up. I want to turn the temperature down. I like to get that feedback on what the temperature currently is. I want to be able to set the modes and stuff like that. So admittedly, I want to be able to do a few extra things. But to be fair, I mean, if it had just been on and off and changed the temperature, I probably would have been very close to happy. Changing the modes is helpful too. So, but anyhow, I am using a Train HVAC unit here built into the apartment, and so I went down through the different templates it had preset for Train models, and I got down to about the fourth one down on the list, and all the buttons worked. It brings up a virtual remote control on your phone or tablet, and you just kind of practice and check the buttons that are on there and see if your HVAC unit responds accordingly, and mine did. And then after that, I was hunky-dory in that aspect of the feature. But then I went into another part of the app where I can connect the Broadlink system to my A-Lady. And I think it uses the Broadlink skill, and it automatically will prompt you to enable and then link to that. Now, I would give you a caution. I ran into a problem the first time I ran this because I think my A-Lady app was out of date. And so you might want to first make sure that your A-Lady app is updated, and make sure if you just download the Broadlink app, then that's pretty much brand new, so you're good to go there too. But you might want to do that just as a cautionary tale. It didn't really hurt me in any kind of way. It just didn't work the first go around with my A-Lady, and then I was like, well, let's update the app and redo the process, and I redid it, and it worked fine the second time. And as you could tell, whenever I was commanding it, it's really snappy on, bam, bam. I mean, right away, really quick and really impressed. Now, this unit requires it to be plugged into power at all times, or however you want to power it via USB. I do believe it pulls down a little more amps than I thought it was going to do. I think it might nearly be 1 amp. I think it's hard to believe, and I must have read that wrong, but I noticed plugging it into a power adapter with USB Type A connector over here that it wasn't powering up all the way. It wasn't working. So I took a separate plug that I knew that put out more amps, and I plugged it in, and it worked fine. So that was a little curious. So you if you're having power issues, and depending on where you want to, mount it on a wall, you may want to get a white cord. This one came with a black cord, or a different colored cord, or maybe some sort of cord hider thing they make that where you can attach it on the wall. It kind of covers the cord up, make it more visually appealing. Now, I believe the standard RM4 is a little bigger than this hockey puck one I got, this little kind of cylinder one that I got, and I think it even allows battery support. And put some AA batteries in and let it run for 6 months on those AA batteries or AAA batteries. The listing for mine, the RM4 Mini, actually said it used AAA batteries, but I think the listing was listed wrong. It meant the bigger unit supported that. Well, this one does not. It has to be plugged in. And there is also, I said, an RM4 Pro. That one I may get in the future, but that one has the additional ability not only to control or be programmed for infrared devices, but also for RF or radio frequency devices. So think like a door garage thingy, or something where it may not be necessarily line of sight and uses an RF radio transmission. So you may have different types of remote controls that operate that way for various reasons. I can't think of exactly what they all may be, but you may have one that uses RF instead of infrared. Maybe a ceiling fan or something like that. I don't know, but and that's only like an extra, I forget, like $5 or $10 to get the one that's a pro that can do that as well. Now, like I said, this one came with the extra sensor package where it's via the cable has that temperature and humidity sensor. Now, as best as I can tell, I don't think I can query that through the A-Lady. At least I haven't found a way to do that independently. Now, that's no big deal because my A-Ladies, my Echoes, the Echo Dots, they're the modern units that have the built-in temperatures. So I'm pretty happy with that as an independent checksum, and I can actually verbally say, hey, how warm is it in the kitchen, or how warm is it in the bedroom? What's the temperature? And it will tell me based on the Echo that's in there. Now, but I do believe inside the Broadlink app, I could set up some sort of routine, like, if at this thermometer it hits 80 degrees, turn the air conditioning on. Now that I know that, I probably really didn't need that sensor. But it was an extra $5. I didn't think it would probably hurt anything. Now, through the Broadlink app, I can do all these kind of customizations and routines, and I believe I can set it up with IFTT, if you know what that is, if this then that service, where you can have some really advanced routines like when I leave my house and I'm gone for 30 minutes, turn the air, turn it up so I'm not using as much air conditioning and burning as much power, or something like that. You could have some pretty elaborate ways an IFTT thing responds. But to be honest, what I think I find the most appealing about this is once you get it in to the A-Lady app listed amongst your other smart devices, including your Echoes, mine's just listed as air conditioner. That's why I said the phrase air conditioner, which I may change to something else because it's more than just an air conditioner. So the cool thing is, once it's in the app, I automatically have all these cool things I can do with built-in routines with the A-Lady. So I could create some pretty elaborate routines of how I want to control it or give it a series of commands, and it will do it. Just automatically based on timing, scheduling, whatever, almost, there's all sorts of ways you can craft the routine. So, and I find that I'm already familiar with that kind of workflow. And so it's not like I'm having to learn some proprietary Broadlink way of doing it. It's just there. And hopefully with the AI beta and some of the enhancements we'll see here in the near future, hopefully in the next 6 months or so, we'll even get some verbal capabilities to build those routines without having to go in the app, just doing the entire thing verbally. Where I could just say something like, hey, lady, I'd like you to turn the air conditioner off every weekday at 9:30 or something, like when I'm leaving to go to the workplace or something. And then have it come back on every day at, a half hour before I get home, So, you can get the idea of basically what you're capable of doing. Now, as a visually impaired person, I couldn't ever see really the remote controls I had here. I had memorized where the buttons were, and I'd have to get a magnifier. I could, with enough magnification, I could kind of make out what was going on the little LCD screen on the remote control. But it's really getting a lot harder. My vision isn't as good as it once was. So that was really becoming kind of impractical, and I knew these devices existed, and so the ability for me to just verbally command it on, off, up, down, turn the air on, turn the heat on, just so much easier. Now, this device was $29. If I got it without the sensor cable, which I think I probably really didn't need now that I know how it kind of works, I could have got for $25. So I have 3 different units throughout my house, all in different rooms. So infrared does not go through the walls. You need a separate one in each room in line of sight. So I could get 2 more of these for another $50 basically, and I'll have my whole house covered, and I can verbally command each and every room. Now, I will mention that inside the Broadlink app, it was a little not complicated, just kind of, I don't know what it was, but you would designate the room, and then you would designate the name of the unit. I think, I don't know. It's listed as like kitchen air conditioner, HVAC. I gave it a name. But on the other end, on the A-Lady device, it's just listed as air conditioner. But this is the important thing, is once I get the other two added in, I don't want them all to be air conditioner, because then I'll never be able to verbally command them. I doubt it would let me have three things with identical names. You'd probably name them like air conditioner 1, 2, and 3. So, but the cool thing is once it's in the A-Lady app, I can double tap on it. It's under the devices tab. I find the air conditioner, I tap on it, and in the top, there's an edit button that allows me to change its name. And once I change its name, I could verbally command it as such. I could be, I don't know, the kitchen air conditioner, or the bedroom air conditioner, the office air conditioner, or whatever I decide to call it, the kitchen HVAC, whatever. So very, very cool. And very, very useful. And I'm just terribly tickled that. So for basically $75, three of these bad boys, I'm going to be able to cover my whole house. I got this extra sensor here, which doesn't hurt anything. So that might be an extra $5, $80. But for $80, I'm going to be able to cover my entire house and control all the rooms with my A-Lady. And so that is super cool. Plus all the automation capabilities that gives me. I could be out on the road. I could be at the office at work and still say, hey, I left the air conditioner on at the house, or I left the heat on before I left the house, and I don't want to pay that high energy bill. So I could make those adjustments anywhere. So anyway, that brings the show, this episode, to a conclusion. If you have any thoughts or suggestions for a future episode, we'd love to hear your feedback on Facebook or Twitter, or an old-fashioned email via info@goodwillvalleys.com. Until next time, we thank you for listening.
This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a non-profit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. And we thank you for listening. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision.